Hey viewers, welcome to my orchid world. In this video, I am going to talk about a very important aspect of growing orchids, which is very essential for the growth of the orchid, overall health of the orchid, and blooms and number of blooms, increasing the number of blooms year on year. This aspect is the amount of light that an orchid receives. Light is a very important aspect of growing orchids, and in its less quantity or a total absence, the orchid may not survive, the orchid's health will be affected. So, we will be looking into how a balanced amount of light is essential for the overall health of the orchid and subsequent blooming. So in this video you have seen that the spikes that have grown from a species orchid has been bent. It is bent. The head of the spike, the tip of the spike is bent. This bend has occurred due to non-availability of sufficient amount of light where it was growing, where it was placed. It was placed on the eastern side, but as you have seen in my shade house, there is a big tree which is blocking the sunlight when during the morning. So this has affected the spike. The spike has bent towards the light. Usually when a plant receives less amount of sunlight, it will try to bend towards the source of light when it will get more sunlight. So this has happened in the case of the spike. The spike has already grown and it has tried to go towards the source of sunlight so that it gets more amount of sunlight. So if you see this kind of bending of spikes, or say overall stem of the orchid, then you have to know that it is receiving lesser amount of sunlight. So what you have to do is that you have to move it to a more brighter location, because these are vivacious orchids. This kind of orchids require very high amount of sunlight so that it can bloom well, it can grow healthily. The overall health of the orchid should be good. So now I have moved it to a more brighter location inside my shade house. I have not moved it outside, and so that because the harsh sunlight during the afternoon is very detrimental for this kind of orchids. Though these are species orchids, they have better adaptability in terms of growing in harsh amount of sunlight. It can tolerate a very high amount of sunlight, so direct sunlight may cause some sunburns, and so but it will survive because these are species orchids. They will survive. But in case of hybrid orchids, it is always advisable to keep your orchids always shaded under a shade cloth and keep checking the amount of sunlight that it receives. And because that is why it is very important to keep checking your orchids from time to time. You may discover that they are getting lesser amount of sunlight, or you may discover that they are getting more amount of sunlight. When they get more amount of sunlight, it will show visible signs on the leaves. The leaves will get round spots, black spots, which indicate that they are receiving high amount of sunlight. The sunlight is burning the leaves, and so then you have to take corrective actions subsequently. Though black spots are also indicative of some other causes, I'll not go into that, but I am just focusing on the light amount in this video. So if you see round black spots which are not getting bigger, not increasing in terms of size, then you know that it is a sunburn. So sunburns are usually not that risky for your orchids, but moving it to a lesser shaded, more shaded area is usually okay. And in this orchid, you can see the stem has already bent. It has tried to go to the more brighter location. You can see the bend in the stem. This is a Vanda tessellata. It has put out buds, and the stem has bent because it was on the you can say northeastern side of the shade house, and it was not getting sufficient amount of sunlight. This orchids usually will show visible signs that they are not in their optimum conditions, so you need to take corrective measures. So these two orchids, this time my shade house is a bit the height of the shade house is a bit more than the previous time, so I have decided that I will hung these orchids high above the shade house, where they will get more amount of sunlight and they will grow properly. So the as you keep growing your orchids, as time pass by, you get experienced with your own orchids how you have to take better care of these orchids and make them healthier, make them bloom profusely. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a like and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.